Okay, this is just a quick video to show other people how I pretty much got across the problem of pretty much getting a web service to talk to LabVIEW. Sometimes when you try to use the inbuilt tool that allows you to import a web service, it doesn't work, and I'm actually going to show you that now quickly. So if you go to Xmethods or if you go to the NI website, you'll find a great tutorial on how to use LabVIEW to import a web service, and one of the things to show you is how to use a service that you'll find here on the Xmethods website to pretty much create a library of pretty much VIs that you can access the services methods online. So I'm going to show you quickly one of the errors that occurs, and the reason I'm doing this video is pretty much because we work with a third-party vendor that produces instruments, and they use a web service to communicate with the instrument, and we had issues pretty much getting it to talk to LabVIEW. Found one great tutorial online, which I've listed in the documentation, and a few posts on the forum, but nothing substantial. So I said, why not share the knowledge, share the wealth? So to get started anyways, if you find that you have a web service for your local host, or you might have a web service that you want to use online, what you need to do is you need to get a little bit of information. What you're looking for is what's known as the WSDL, the web service description language, and there it is there, .wsdl. So if you copy that guy there, copy. First thing is analyze the WSDL. What you want to do is make sure that it's actually there, and everything you need to know about it will be here, all the documentation. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm just using the get cities by country. So you select a country and it'll spit out all the cities. You can see the input and the output message there for the methods, and you can also see the WSDL. So there's its web description language there. So what happens when we try to do this with LabVIEW? So we've copied that guy there, and we're going to LabVIEW, and we go Tools, Import Web Service, and we stick it in here. We go Next, we try it out. You get this message, validation error. You will find probably, if you were to configure the proxy settings, or maybe the web service has authentication required, that you might get it to work. Basically, what I found was I talked to the vendor of the device that we were trying to communicate with, and they were not. They were C# and VB based, and no matter what I did, I asked them for the proxy server settings. It ran on the local host, so I had those myself actually. The web service authentication, they said there was none. So it was pretty much a case that I had to figure out how to get LabVIEW to talk to my service. And how I did that was basic TCP/IP VIs, and I'm going to walk you through that quickly. That and a combination of what's known as SOAP UI. SOAP UI is free for download for trial. I've got a professional version of it installed on another PC, and I pretty much use it regularly now. It's a very useful tool, and allows you to expose the methods and also the bits and pieces you need to get going. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up SOAP UI first. So just go to my desktop. Give it a few seconds. Okay, I'm just going to delete this guy for the time being anyways. File, new SOAP project, put in the location of the WSDL, and if you click OK, what it'll do is it'll actually contact the server and actually pull back the information. So what I'm looking for is get city by country here. So if you look at each one of these guys here is a method, and the two important things are the operation properties, and you can actually see the two methods there. So if I click down on this, I can see the request here. If I double click on that request, you will actually see it'll open up this window. I'll just maximize that guy there. Starter page, not really what I want. Close him, maximize him. So very simply, you got two things. You got the XML, and you've got the raw. The raw is missing at the start until you run the service. So literally, if I run the service, what I need to do is replace this question mark here with the name of a city. So I'm going to say Ireland, because that's where I am. And if I run that, you'll actually see that it spits back XML with all the counties in Ireland, or all the cities to a certain degree. We don't have that many, but pretty much it'll spit back all the cities. And you can actually have a look at the raw, and what it has here is it's got the location of the service on their server. That's where the server will be based. It's got the encoding, so basically the encoding for the data, the content type is text/XML, and it's U8 character set. And here's the action. So this is the action, is the method that you're looking for. And of course, this is what you need to send it. This is the information it requires. So similar to a method in C# or VB or even LabVIEW, you need to pass it in some data so it can pass out something. So very simply, how do you use this with LabVIEW? So I've created a quick example, and it's called example service. So all I've literally got in here, guys, is I've got a drop down list here of 3 countries. I've got an array here which has the counties, cities, cities, and the final thing is I've got a bit of code here. The first thing to note is you need to find out where the RESTful service is based. If it's on the local host, this will be localhost, the port number / whatever the location of the pretty much the server is, and this port will have to change. 80 is standard for HTTP, that's why it's 80 here. But if you do change it for localhost, make sure you've got the port right. It usually goes the location, which is usually localhost / / the port. So basically what I've got here is, the first thing is the location. So I open up my TCP/IP connection. I build my post data. This is very important, and I'll actually walk you through this quickly. So if I have a look at the block diagram, the 2 things I'm passing in are, of course, the required data for the method, which is the country. So Ireland is the only one that's in there, but pretty much, and the post out, which is pretty much the built post that's required for the actual service. So there's 2 parts. There's the header and the XML. So the header literally composes of the first part, which is pretty much the location of the service. If you want to find that in SOAP UI, all you do is you look up here. It's got it there. And pretty much the second part of it literally is the host. The host is literally the first part here. Content type, which has to be similar to SOAP UI. If you look at the XML or the raw, you'll actually see it there. And the final thing is the content length. This has to be calculated, as the length and name of the city will change from time to time. I've done it here. Most of the time with the service you might be given the length, and the length can actually be got off SOAP UI. So if I click on the service, it'll actually tell me the message size. That's all you really need. And of course the SOAP action, which I show you again, is here in the raw. Here it is. Excuse me. So what you do is very simply, you produce pretty much the header space. There has to be a space in between so that it can differentiate the XML from the header, and pretty much you conjugate the 2 of them into a string and pass it out. It's not really that complicated. The trick is to pretty much get the couple of things right. The content length has to be right, the SOAP action has to be right, there has to be a space, and the location of the post server has to be correct, and the host. In here literally what you'll find is you're going to have the envelope for your service, and all you do is literally replace, in my case it's a question mark, the country that you want to replace with. You just replace the country, and it'll pretty much build a string for you. So moving on, first thing I'm going to say is literally sometimes you don't need to get the number of bytes to read. It's one of those things that literally you can probably, if you run it from SOAP UI, it'll actually tell you the number of bytes that were read. So response time 449 milliseconds, 1354 bytes. So pretty much you could hard code that in and read the entire message back, or else you can do it the way I've done it here, which is pretty much ask it for 1,000 bytes, and literally out of that 1,000 bytes you'll be able to extract the content length and basically then read the whole message here. And then finally I just parse the data, and all I do to parse the data is you've got two choices. You can use the LabVIEW inbuilt XML VIs. Some a little bit overkill for what I'm doing here. Literally all I'm trying to do is trying to get the children out of it, or the siblings out of it, and literally what I'm doing is just pass it in, extract what's in between it, and whenever it's blank, stop. So from there literally you close the connection. So if I want to run this, all I do is I select a country first. So I'm going to say France, or I might say Ireland, just to show you that it does work. And if I give it a couple of seconds, you'll see that it'll populate with all the cities. Let's say if I want to go to France, never been, but you never know. And I run it again. I might take a second or two. It's going to give me all the cities in France. Obviously, there's more than that of Ireland. Three things you need to look at in SOAP UI are: number one, this is very important. It'll tell you everything you need to know. The endpoint, the encoding, the name of the request is just synonymous to SOAP UI. This and the XML. The XML is very, very important that you get this right. Literally, spaces, commas, any mistakes can cause the service not to respond. One of the things I will say to you is, if it's a case that you just want to get an endpoint, just to send something to a service and have it respond and you're happy with it, one of the things I will say is you can extract, if you look in here, the OK. So if the service responds, it'll give you an OK. You can actually see it there, HTTP 200 OK. So if it doesn't, it'll actually tell you that there was a server error. So in the case of just a simple action, what you can do is literally just extract that part of it. Well, I hope this is of some use. Again, it's my chance to contribute something to the forums because they've contributed so much to me. Thank you very much. Bye bye.